All right, you guys. Hopefully you guys can hear me a little bit better. It was that was just for me. It was the last thing that I needed to do. However, I wanted to talk to you guys today because what I've noticed a lot, and this is more for everyone that's doing this work. Many of you have misconstrued a lot of the Neville teachings, Abraham teachings, Abraham Hicks. When we are told to ignore 3D and that it is all you and that kind of thing, I want you to understand the difference between spiritual bypassing and detachment from looking at your reality, understanding what it's trying to tell you, taking ownership for it, redirecting the energy, and changing that aspect of yourself. Many of us, what we've learned is, don't look at it. It's your fault anyway. And don't look at it. And as soon as you heal yourself, and as soon as you heal yourself, the outside is going to change. That is true. However, it is not an excuse for bad behavior. Ever. What I mean by this is some of you are afraid to say something because you're saying, oh, he's me anyway, so I don't want to give life to it. This doesn't work that way. You take ownership. So in other words, there's a difference between ignoring it because you don't want to see it and looking at it from a detached perspective. Owning it and changing it. Very different. And so, yes, you can heal. You can be one with your word. You can lose all fear. When you know God in you, there is no fear. No fear. You know from the minute you say, God, I need you to do this now, boom, done. Problem solved. Better than you could have ever imagined. Why? Because God doesn't exist in your rational mind. Your rational mind will limit you by what you know based on your past life experience, and that is the reason when you look at lived backwards through the mirror, it spells devil. There's your limitations. It's what you know from experience, right? God doesn't exist in that. God's only now. Timing is now. Many of you ask me, how do I eliminate fear? How do I do this? How do I get rid of this? How do I do this? That kind of thing. And you eliminate fear very simply by looking at 3D and realizing that it is all an illusion. It's a hologram. We share this hologram, and I'm so privileged to be here with you guys sharing this hologram, but it is a hologram. Our peace comes from knowing that's a hologram, and our peace comes from being able to control the hologram, and our peace comes from fearlessly living because we know God in us, and God in us can handle anything. God in us brings everything to us, makes everything right, no matter what it looks like, no matter how it looks, and the circumstances. When it says ignore circumstances, to a degree, that is correct. But that does not mean, for example, if someone is being abusive to you, or someone is ignoring you, or someone's not treating you right, that you shouldn't address it. Of course you should address it. Now, should you be able to look at it objectively? Yes. Look at it like a conscious mirror that it is. It's a conscious mirror. People are showing you inside your subconscious. You're not there right now, which is why it looks like it's outside of you, which is great. That is the purpose of it. Conscious mirrors are there for you to understand what is going on inside of you so that you can release them, so you can transmute them, so you can be in a different place. Yes, they are. But many of you must learn how to detach from those specific things that you don't want anymore. That's the pearl. That's the price you got to pay. If you don't like a specific behavior, address it, look at it, see how it's somehow related to you and your pattern, and then let it go. Let it go because you deserve to move on. Don't let it haunt you. Don't let it plague you. Don't let it continue to play on repeat. That's how we get stuck in 3D. We're not supposed to do that. We're not supposed to get stuck in 3D. Many of you, what you guys notice is I will activate you. You'll have a conversation with me. You'll notice that you're a totally different person, or you'll see how to get your way out. And every once in a while, you come back because you've forgotten that 3D is fake. And you come back and you're like, I'm afraid of certain things. Afraid of what? Your imagination? Understand that fear is creative. It serves a purpose. It does. It's the opposite energy of what you are. It is written in the Bible that the vault exists and the waters were separated from the waters. That is because fear is one of those things that emotionally are not allowed in heaven. That's why it creates the divide. Fear creates the outside world that we think we're seeing. Fear creates the illusion out there. It does. Why does it do that? Because when we know God, we fear nothing, and we speak life. We're one with our word. We're one with our heart, and we speak life over that illusion. And we're not fooled by the 3D. But that doesn't mean that we would stay in a relationship where someone's mean to us, constantly berating us, and we just say, oh, ignore that, that's me, and then ignore that. That's called spiritual bypassing. That's not what the novel teachings are trying to tell you. And I'm so sorry. A lot of people don't talk about that, and they should, because they're correct. Don't give life to that. Yes, they're absolutely correct in that sense, but it's still there for you to address. But see, there's a difference between looking at it. How is this me? Let me look at it. Detached, outside the box. Oh, is this a generational pattern I need to fix? Is this a ghost in my machine? Is this something I need to let go? Is this my karma that because I did this 12 years ago and now it's coming back around in a loop and now I'm on the receiving end of what I did? How are you choosing to define that moment? Are you going to let it define you? Then we miss the mark. Right? However, when you know God, when you're one with God, when you're really, truly at peace in this place, you can speak life into anything you want. But it is coming up for you to look at, address, and change. Many of you don't realize that's why we're here. We're here to discover our power. We're here to discover the best of the best of the best life has to offer. And usually it is done against a backdrop of everything we don't want. How else are you going to figure out that you're God of your experience? How else? And yes, some of us have partners that we don't understand because we grew up totally opposite from them. That's true. Okay. So then be God and heal them. And if you need to heal them from a distance, do that from a distance. If there are unwanted aspects of your life that come up, forgive those things too. Freedom begins when you can detach from it so that the 3D doesn't own you, so it doesn't define you. But we can't fall asleep at the wheel and then allow it to take over when really all it is our imagination on display so that we can figure out the puzzle of ourselves. That's what it's for. It's exactly what it's for. That's it. Nothing else. Now, we can look at things and weep all day because they don't appear as we want. But guess what that does? Continue the cycle of things we don't want. Because what are we doing? Attaching to that. Or we can just step into our power. Start repeating. Many of us need to learn how to completely relax. How to detach from everything. How to declare life over our being. And from that point of total stillness, when you are one with everything, one with the light in you, one with everything that could ever exist, from that point, declare whatever you want. You won't even want anything because for most part, you know that when you want something, it's because God already gave it to you. Our job is to fill in the blank, to say thank you. Thank you so much because I know that this is what was given to me. You connect with your heart, but you have to connect with your heart because your heart is the only way through that needle. Got to get through the Bindu point. Got to get through there. Got to get out of your 3D box. We have to become hyper-vigilant of our inner stories. We have to become hyper-vigilant of the stories that we watch, attached to the music that we listen to, the TV that we're watching. Many of you will watch a TV show, and then you're surprised because your friend starts behaving like that on TV. Or you'll listen to a breakup song, and then sooner or later you break up and it becomes your breakup song. Become hyper-vigilant of what you're programming in because your subconscious has no choice but to say yes. Whatever you want, yes, 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 all day long. It is a living, vibrant being that exists inside you that takes your orders if you befriend it. Take time to befriend it. I did. Look at me. I'm hardly ever sad. Most times I'm like Buddha, man. I'm just always laughing. I'm always in a good place. People wonder what I'm smoking. Guess what? I don't smoke. I don't need to. I'm happy. Genuinely happy. And you know what happens when you're genuinely happy? Anything you want. It's the vortex that Abraham talks about. When you're genuinely happy, anything inside this vortex that you have in here in your subconscious comes right on out. But if you allow the 3D moment to define you, it does not. Now it turns into work. Now you've got to take out your little list of affirmations. Now you've got to work really hard. And you got to play this game of trying to convince yourself. When really the only thing we truly have to do is wake up God in here. We do people a huge favor when we place people and give them to God. Give them to divine intelligence. Take the pressure off of yourself. Trust divine intelligence. Many of you who ask me, how do I get rid of fear? The only reason that you're asking me that is because you don't know God in you yet. You haven't relied on God in you enough. So then the world seems like a big obstacle. It's not. But trust that power in you to do it. Many of us sit here and say, I'm worried about money, or I'm worried about this guy, or I'm worried about this. And then you attach to what you've known and you refuse to let go. Because that's what you know. Right? So you're saying there, you're holding, I want you to get that vision, right? You're holding on like this, saying, I don't want to see that anymore. I don't want to see that anymore. I don't want to see this anymore. But you refuse to let go and let God. So you torture yourself unnecessarily. I mean this sincerely, unnecessarily. I hold on to pain or illusions of pain, or concepts such as worry about a fraction of a second. Because I've taken control of my word inside. Every night I program them really good stuff into my brain and I wake up feeling like $1,000,000. It's because my subconscious gets to be rewired that I get to live free. It's because I know that God in me directs that subconscious and all I have to do is give it word. And a lot of people don't understand that because they're trying to ignore a circumstance. Well, what if the circumstance is there for you to face? Not bypass. Face. How are you going to redefine it? I learned that at the School of Imagination. The power to define the moment is in you. When we allow 3D to define us, we have missed the mark. But it doesn't mean that we tolerate things, that we don't speak up for ourselves. We have to get to know ourselves. We have to find out what our boundaries are. We have to talk. We have to do some good things. It's good for you to figure out who you are, what you love, what do you like to do? Do you have things that you need to heal? Then do the greatest act of self-love you ever can and work on it. Not for him, not for her, for you. Are there people in your reflection that you know that because you have a generational pattern that it played out? That's what I do right now. People come to me and they talk to me about things. There isn't a moment that I don't know that everything out there is me and a pattern that I need to look at, and I own it fearlessly. Do you know why I'm feeling so happy right now? Because my great-grandmother, who has been dead a very long time, in my present moment, I never got to meet her. She died before I ever incarnated, has taken a new form and has showed up to explain to me what my generational patterns were. She lives in the UK. We instantly connected, and because we can see into each other's timelines, she even looks like me. We instantly recognized each other. I want to share this with you because I don't think you guys realize that no one ever dies. We recycle bodies all the time. I wish you could see out of my eyes, because when you see out of my eyes and in this way, you can never be sad again. There is no loss at all whatsoever. And when you give something to God and God shows up in a different form and takes all of your memories and then gives you another body, and that body gives you a message, it's beautiful. She said to me, "It's like you're my mom." And I looked at her and I said, "In a way, you have been. You're an aspect of my daughter. But you've also been my great-great-great-grandmother." And we talked about our past lives together, and we had a great conversation. I feel so bonded with a complete stranger who pretty much came to make me feel better. To tell me it's okay. To tell me what was going on with my kid. To tell me what happened before. To tell me why my son had to pass away. And how long this pattern has been going on over and over and over again. She basically broke some generational curses that I've had going on for a very long time. See, my grandmother lost children. I lost a child. I don't know how much further down the line we've been losing children because I wasn't consciously aware of those things in that moment. But we all know each other many, many lifetimes. If you dare open up your heart and see from source perspective, it is a totally different view. I did the mirror work yesterday and I was in a real angry place for a little bit. And then today, after I just, I did what I say that I'm going to do, and I gave my daughter to God. I've explained this before. This is my little Achilles heel because I know she is me. She's future me now. And I really hate that she played out some of the patterns that I've done, and she showed me my face. My old face, and of course I had to deal with it. But I gave her to God, and I know that she's fine. I just know. I'm not even sad anymore. I can't even like function in any other way other than I know she's fine because God in me has her. So what happens? This occurred. This person comes into my life out of nowhere, and we just have this great interaction. And I understood in that moment that God sent me my great-grandmother back to me. Because every single body in your world is an illusion. Every single last one is made out of a collective of experiences, and they appear to be a different body, but I assure you that this is your life experience, generations after generations on display. All the ghosts in your machine are surrounding you. Can you make peace with them? Can you raise them to the level of God? Can you see them from source perspective? Can you step out of the box and do that? Can you look at your life fearlessly? Can you forgive what has occurred? Because if you don't, you only hurt yourself. You continue to stay in a generational pattern over and over and over again. Nobody needs that. Learn what's in you, but mostly don't bypass. Own what you've done. If you don't understand how it was made, that's okay. Then ask God for clarity. And if you still can't figure it out, then just be like, look, God, in me, I need you to fix this. I don't even know what this is. But I need you to fix it. I need to move on from here. I don't like this. I don't know what it is. Do that. Free yourselves from the boxes that you've placed yourselves in. They're make-believe. Everything in 3D is make-believe. Everything. People ask me all the time, why are you not afraid? How do you not fear? Fear what? Did you know that if you took all the matter that was in this planet, in your hologram, and you condensed it, that it would fit in your hand and it would be the size of a pea? The rest is empty matter? Because everything in this world is made of nothing but your imagination? Nothing. A no thing. A not thing. It exists because a table exists because it's not a chair. You get to define yourself because you're defining yourself as an individual and not everything else. Everything is a not thing. That's what the illusion's about. And the joy that comes from controlling that comes from knowing yourself, knowing your power, knowing what you got inside, knowing to control your mind and control this voice and stop letting it dictate how you see, and owning it and redefining it and allowing matter to shape at your word, because you are one with your heart, your mind, and your soul. Agreed, this is how I'm choosing to define this now. I will not allow my old voice to take over. I'm here to fix it. That's where your peace comes from. It truly does. It's highly therapeutic, by the way. To prove, test, prove, test, prove, test. Like Neville said, test it. But remember, feeling is the secret. Your subconscious controls 95% of what you see outside, so your feelings are the only way in. So you must, at all costs, connect to your heart, and you cannot fool your heart. You cannot go in there with bad intentions. You cannot, bad's probably not the right word, but you can't go in there with different intentions. You can't go in there and determined to fool yourself. You must have a sincere desire to connect with the all in all that is you. And from there, you require nothing. You fear nothing. You simply declare something to be, and it is with your feeling sense. And many of you know what I'm talking about because you've done it. You've manifested cars, you've manifested trips, you've manifested people. You bring these people in and out of your lives. You entertain yourselves all day long in the illusion. And many of you have not tested it out for the big things, the really big things. And because you're in fear, you refuse to step into the new. I will use myself as an example. I had a great paying job. It was great. I worked from home. It was very mindless work. I had outgrown it a long time ago. But I had great benefits. I was comfortable. Comfortably miserable. But fear kept me from quitting. Fear kept me right where I was, planted there, afraid to step in to my power. Why? Because my rational mind said, where else are you going to make this kind of money? My rational mind said, you didn't even finish college. What the hell are you going to do? I don't care how smart you are, Sin. Nobody knows that. Lot of noise. Even if you don't want anything, you still need to pay your bills. How are you going to survive? Chatter. Lot of chatter. Right? But I did one thing. I fearlessly collapsed the timeline like I've taught you in the other class, in the other videos. And I had a funeral for myself. I put her to bed. Corporate Cindy. It was like she was a little Barbie doll. Dressed her up real nice. Had a great casket for her. Oh my God, I had flowers everywhere. Like, I was over the top of my funeral, let me tell you. Had a great party for her. And I even waited till she was buried 6 feet under to dance on her grave. Happiest moment of my life, let me tell you. Now, when she took her money and her benefits, a little panic moment. There was. But I'm so connected to my source that immediately, as soon as I started to panic, source came in. It's like, what the hell are you worried about? You work for me now. Peace washed over me. Completely. It's like, what? You need your benefits you never used? Other than to get a massage every once in a while? Because you never get sick? And then I started laughing with this voice because it was speaking truth into my life. I didn't have to say anything. It just started talking to me. It asked me, where's your faith? How are you choosing to live like you preach? And I thought, yeah. Why not? I mean, it works for everything else. What am I doing? Now, hindsight being 2020, I look back and I think, oh my God, I should have done this 10 years ago. What the hell? If I had known what was on the other side of this freedom, this glory, this feeling, this good feeling of being taken care of and knowing that there's nothing to fear, I would have leaped head first into the pool, didn't even give a fuck if there was water in it or not, because guess what? I can't die. I have nothing to fear. So I don't. That was perhaps one of my last obstacles I had to overcome. Because, you know, I made an outside idol of my supply. Instead of saying God is my supply, I said my job was my supply, since it's what I knew. Wrong answer, you guys. I want to remind you guys to trust that God in you. Trust it. Don't act in fear. Speak life over it. Prove this to yourselves. It's worth it. Do you know what it's like to be unencumbered, to just walk the world just laughing? And when people say to you, you know, the opposite of what you want to hear, you just look at them and smile and grateful for what they just told you. And you're not in the least bit remotely bothered by it, because either it's a message you needed to hear or it's something that you need to fix. And then inside of you, you know you can do all the fixing and keep it moving. Good place. It's a very good place to exist in. Dare to do this, you guys. Dare to trust. If you're not feeling well, if there's something going on, give it to God. Speak life into your body. Start telling yourself how you don't age, how you keep a baby face all the time. Make the illusion conform to your word. That's what it's about. That's why you're here. Not to bypass shit. Not to ignore it. To prove your power. Prove your power over it. But what I don't want happening is for someone to treat you badly all the time, all the time, all the time, and you keep quiet while you work on yourself in silence. No. That's bypassing. From a detached perspective, you can, I promise you, you can learn a lot from what's going on, and you don't allow it to suck you in. And you don't allow it to define you, but you do release what you're looking at. If you need to release the old version of something because you don't want that anymore, then the best thing you can do is drop it and let it go. The best thing you can do is say, I give this to divine intelligence because I don't want this anymore. So can you fix it? Divine intelligence that goes right to work. But when you're not attached to an outcome, when you're not attached to a situation, when you can release it, you'll see it come back to you. When you start crying over certain situations, feel these things, but understand that you're also misjudging the moment that you've declared into being. Because you've allowed your rational mind to fill in the blanks instead of your heart. And your heart is king. Your heart is 5D. 0 point, where all possibilities exist. And you can't trick your heart. You can't fake it. Your heart knows when it's real because it's touched profoundly. And you behave from a totally different point. It is totally the difference between confusion and clarity. When the beliefs that the divine give you allow you to dictate your life and to navigate and flow, you have clarity. When your beliefs take you out of flow and you're trying to force stuff and you're trying to work really hard, it's fine. But it also leads to a lot of confusion. Dare to connect with that source in you. When you do, you do not exist in fear. It's a good place. Truly. Again, no bypassing, you guys. Face it. Understand that what you've seen outside has more to do with your inner story than anything else. So if your inner story needs adjustment, good. That's why you're here. Choose wisely how you wish to define it. If you don't understand it, then call one of us for clarity. We'll help you. We can make the unconscious visible, no problem. But dare to understand that your word is what's making everything outside. And it's not just your outer word, because I know many of you are saying, I don't want to speak it into existence. Your inner word is more responsible for the recording than you realize. What you guys have noticed since being activated and been in this group is some weird, freaky things are happening, right? You know, you're jumping timelines and you've noticed it. You've always been able to do that. You're just now becoming aware of your new powers. That's it. You're becoming aware of what you can do. Don't fear that. Get excited about it. If you feel fear, redirect it and realize that it's just excitement with judgment attached to it. That's it. Now it's getting really dark in here. I'm not quite sure why. Guess my phone's playing tricks on me. But that's it then. I'll take that as my cue to go, you guys. I'll be announcing, as soon as other people are home, I'll be announcing our website and our new partnerships. And thank you all for joining us and for being here. And I guess it may be time to walk my dog since he just came up here for to get my attention. I'll see you guys soon. I love you so much. Don't forget, it's not bypassing, but it is ownership that will get you guys free. Okay? Love you. Bye.